as I said to you before, all progress, this is very simple. All progress comes from what? You should know that by now. You should know the answer. From asking questions, right? Anytime you ask questions, you make progress. So here's an example of this. You wake up in the morning, and what's the question you ask? Right? Oh, why do I have to wake up today? Right? Oh, another day. And what do? You press your snooze button. And that's the first question you ask when you wake up. And then what do you got to do? You got to go to work, right? And what does it mean? Why do I have to work today? Why do I hate this job so much? Right? And how does that make you feel when you ask these questions? It makes you feel like crap. That's how it makes you feel. Because you think of all the bad things in your life, and as you focus on it, you feel. And as you feel, it affects the way you go to work. You go to work, and you have what kind of performance? Poor performance or good performance. Definitely not excellent or outstanding. You can't, because to get peak performance, you have to be in what? In peak state. And if you're not in peak state, you don't get the performance that you need for success. And then what do? Well, you go for lunch, and you say, what's some really good junk food I can eat today, right? And what do? You go to McDonald's, or you go eat something that will make you feel good because you feel so crappy. So one of the ways to make yourself feel good is to eat food that tastes good. And you start eating Big McDonald's and French fries and a Coca-Cola. Oh, this is so great. Oh, Big Mac. Num, 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 num. Right? And then what happens? And then you start getting a bit fat, right? And you measure your waist. Oh, getting fat. And then what kind of question do you ask yourself? Oh, why can't I ever lose weight? Right? And then the brain says, because you're stupid. That's why. Right? And the brain comes up with an answer, because whatever question you ask, the brain must come up with an answer. It's the way the brain works. Does that make sense? But it doesn't stop there, because the day's not over yet. It's just lunchtime. And what happens next? Right? Then you come home, and you have to talk to your wife, or your husband, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mother, someone, and you had a bad day, you're in a bad state, you come home in a bad state, and you argue. And then what do you ask? Oh, why is she so difficult? Why doesn't she ever listen to me? Right? And then you start feeling bad. Why is he such a bastard? I don't know what you ask, but I do know this. You definitely ask a negative questions. And as you ask a negative question, what happens? You feel bad. And what do you do when you feel bad? You start getting what? Depressed. And then what do? You start asking questions like, man, why is my life so miserable? And then what does the brain do? It comes up with an answer. It tells you why. Ask, and you shall receive. That's the truth. Why is your life so miserable? Because you're a dumb prick, that's why. Are you a dumb prick? No, but ask and you'll get an answer, right? I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough. I don't know. It can be all kinds of answers. What I do know is this. Every time you ask stupid questions, you get a stupid answer. Anytime you ask a lousy question, you get a lousy answer. And you start feeling bad. And that bad feeling leads to negative beliefs. And it's a cycle that never ends for most people. Right? The quality of your life is determined by your questions. Write that down. The quality of your life is the quality of your questions. You want to live an extraordinary life? I hope so. Isn't that why you're here? To gain as much pleasure as humanly possible and as little pain as possible? You can. Just change your questions. You want to know what I do when I wake up? You want to know my questions? I only have a dozen questions I ask every day. But let me tell you, the question creates an extraordinary life. Change your question, change your life. Let me share with you questions that can totally transform you. If you adopt those new questions in your life, immediately you change your life. Here they are. Change your questions, change your life, period. So let's say you wake up and you're now a positive thinker, which means what? You're a positive questioner. You now become, I am a positive questioner. Every day I will wake up and ask a positive question. Great. Well, what is a positive question that you can ask yourself each day when you wake up? Rather than asking yourself, oh, why do I have to wake up today? Why not ask yourself positive questions like, what am I most grateful for today? And this is what I do every day for the last 2 decades of my life. I've been waking up and asking myself, what am I most grateful for about today? And I just think of 10 specific things I'm grateful for. And as I focus on that, I feel. A billionaire once said, you're only as rich as grateful that you feel. That's such a powerful statement. Let me say that again. You're only as rich as grateful you feel. You want to be more rich? Feel more grateful. Appreciate more. And it doesn't take a lot. You can appreciate anything right now. Ask yourself, right now, what are you most grateful for about? Just think about the answer of that. Or what could you be most grateful for about if you wanted to be right now? And imagine asking yourself that question each and every day. Now, let's say you wake up every day from this moment on and you begin to ask those questions every day. Will that change your life? Yes or no? Yes. Exactly. And that's the beginning. Wake up and wake up. Forget breakfast. Breakfast comes after your positive question, okay? Have a positive question, then eat breakfast. Breakfast is not as important as this question. Most people are starving for wisdom in life. Not for food, for wisdom. This is wisdom. The next question. Rather than waking up, now you're feeling grateful, rather than just waking up, why don't you ask yourself these 3 questions I've been teaching you. What's my outcome today? Why? What's my purpose? What do I need to do to achieve my outcome? Make a plan. Ask, focus on where you want to go. I've been doing this for many years. And I promise you, all successful people ask those 3 questions. They may not ask the first one. And that's why there's some people that are very rich, but not very happy. That can happen. You can ask questions. There are questions that make you rich, and there are questions that make you feel good. These questions are there to make you rich, make you achieve success, make you achieve whatever you want in life. The first question is there to make you feel happy. But you need to ask both. So, let's say you have a plan now for your life. You're moving towards an outcome. Well done. Now, what's the next question? Well, the next question is, how can I enjoy the process? I've done a lot of coaching. I've coached thousands of people. And there came a point where I started getting a little bit bored of coaching. But guess what? Quality of your life is quality of your question. And I asked myself a question. I said, how can I enjoy the process? And I came up with an idea. I said, I used to coach people from phone years ago. And, well, I still do actually now. But I had my cell phone before, and I would coach people from my cell phone. And I would go near the beach. And I would go near the beach and have my phone and call my clients and say, hey, how you doing today? And kitaska? And then I would coach them, and I would be right by the beach, and I would say, oh, I'm doing good. And I would say, oh, right on, that's pretty good. I'm right by the beach. Can you hear the waves? Can you hear that? And the waves would make noise. I'd say, yeah, it's pretty sunny here. How are you doing? I found a way to enjoy the process. You see, if you wake up every day and you start asking yourself, how can I enjoy the process? The brain will find a way. You will find an answer. And I've been doing that ever since. Always found a way to enjoy the process because I keep asking this question. It's a habit. What else? So let's say you've got a plan, you're enjoying the process. And what's the next question? Well, there are many questions, but one question that I ask is, who can I give to right now? So let's say rather than getting in a fight with your wife, why don't you focus on giving to your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or boyfriend? What can I give? So let's say, oh, I got an idea. I'll bring them flowers, and you give flowers. Will that change your life? Yeah, you better believe it. If you focus on giving, you will change your life. Because my point is this. The secret to living is giving. Period. The secret to living is giving. You need a question that makes you focus on giving. Ask and you shall receive. You'll find a great answer with this question. What else? Rather than asking what's a really delicious junk food I can eat, why not ask what is a light, delicious meal rather that I can eat that will give me energy today? Much better question. And you know, you might come up with better answers. Ask better question, come up with better answers. Why not have a salad? See, as soon as you ask that question, you begin to change what you eat. And what you eat determines how fat you are or how healthy you are. That's why some people are really fat, because they always ask the wrong questions. People always go, I got to go on a diet. Diet never works. What works is changing your questions. Does that make sense to you? Raise your hand and say, I. All right. And then here's another question that I ask myself all the time. I believe that every moment, including this one, is perfect. There are no imperfect moments. Just there are bad interpretations of the moment, but there is no imperfect moment. So one of my questions that I ask is, how can I appreciate the perfection of this moment even more? Just imagine, what if every moment of your life was perfect? What if there is no accident? What if everything you experienced became magical and you could see the perfection in it? How would your life be? You know, whatever you see, this moment, as you're sitting in this chair, it is a perfect moment. Everything that's going on right now is perfect. I don't see imperfection. But if you focus on what's wrong, the brain will come up with an answer. If you focus on what's right, the brain will also come up with an answer. Here's my point. What's wrong is always available, but so is what's right. That's always available as well. Just ask this question, how can I appreciate the perfection of this moment even more? And you'll feel that. The quality of your life is the quality of your question. Here's another question. How can I make it even better? Whatever you're doing, how can I make it better? You can use that in your business. You can use that in your relationship. Maybe you ask that question and you think, oh, why don't I take my wife on a walk near the beach or to a nice restaurant? You see, you can make it better just by asking quality questions. Or in business, let me tell you something. This is called a Kaizen question. I know that word, Kaizen, yes. You ask that question because it focuses you on making it better. And that's the secret to business, that every day, some way, in some form or fashion, that you're improving your life. If you just focus on improving your life 1% a day, after 365 days, it's not 365%. It's a lot more than that because it multiplies, it accumulates. A great question to ask. Now, you don't need to ask these questions just once. You can ask them many times throughout the day. In fact, you can have a list of questions, put them in your pocket, just pull them out. Okay, what's the question I want to ask right now? You can ask those questions at any time. But anytime you ask them, they immediately change what you focus on and they change your life. Here's another question. What could I do that will make the ideal life tonight? So maybe you think, oh, I got an ideal. Let's take my wife on a romantic dinner near the beach, right? And you come up with these great activities that you can do in your life that will make your life worth living. Right? Some people say, oh, why doesn't my life never work? Well, don't ask that. Just ask better question. What's my ideal life tonight? Today, it doesn't matter this morning or this afternoon or tonight. As you ask that, the brain will come up with an answer. And you'll come up with some great activities that you can do to make yourself feel good. And the last one, well, at least this is not the last one. There's other questions, but the 9 most important questions. Last one is, what did I learn today? Buy yourself a journal and start writing what you learn every day. Because if life is worth living, it's worth recording. And that's what I do. I have these journals from 20 years ago. I just write down every day what did I, not every day, but every other day, I write down what I learned in that day. I just keep journals. And then you can record magic moments of your life, what happened that was magical for that day. So when you're old and you're sitting in your rocking chair, you can look at those journals and look back on all the magical moments that you experienced. Never forget the magic moment. Does that make sense? Good. So, the major point of this is that if someone is enjoying more success than you, it's because they're asking better questions than you. That's it. You got to model questions of successful people. I've just given you 9 quality questions to ask yourself. The challenge is for you to go back home and start asking those questions every day. That's the challenge. Will you do it? Up to you. If you don't do it, the consequence is you're going to keep asking the old disempowering question, and you'll keep focusing on all the bad things in your life. If you change your question, life will never be the same again, I promise you. And that covers question. If you don't master the communication with other people, there are many bad consequences of this. One of them is what? Let's see. Bad consequence of not mastering communication with others. One, you might not get a job, right? Because you need to have communication skills to get a job. What else? You are getting fired. Even if you get a job, if you have bad communication, you might get fired. People get fired every day because they have bad communication. What's another one? Low income, right? People who have bad communication, low income. What else? You don't get clients. If you're in sales or you're in business for yourself, you don't get clients. You need great communication to have clients. What else? You're single. Another point of bad communication is you can't communicate to the opposite sex very successfully, so you end up being single. That's the consequence. What else? Your children don't listen to you because you have bad communication skills. Right? That's a big one. What else? Is that it? Bad relationship. If you're in a relationship and you have bad communication skills, that's going to be a very bad relationship between a husband and a wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay? Now, if you master communication, that's a whole new story. You're going to get the dream job. Get your dream job. You're going to get a promotion at work. You're going to have a high income. You're going to get unlimited clients. You're going to be dating, get married. You'll be able to influence your children, and you'll have love and intimacy in your relationship. And this is just a few benefits of mastering communication. There are many more benefits that you can gain. So, are you excited? Good. Next is how to ask effective questions. Remember, what controls a conversation? The answer is questions. Questions control what we focus on. Whenever I ask you a question, immediately I change what you focus on. Okay? And focus is the ultimate power of any conversation. This is huge. I can control your focus if I have rapport because I can ask you questions. I can change what you focus on. I can ask you empowering questions. And that brings me to this point. The point of this is whenever two people meet, whoever is asking the questions is in control of that conversation, period. As long as there's rapport. Because if there's no rapport, they won't answer your question, which is why rapport comes first, right? So you need rapport. If you have enough rapport, you can ask questions. That's why the last point of rapport was, would it be okay if I ask you some questions? Yes, it would. Great. Now I got you. You're mine. Okay? I can ask you any questions I want, and I'll ask questions that make you focus on win-win. That's the point. Whenever two people meet, whoever asks questions is in control. Okay. Questions do three things. They immediately change what you focus on and therefore change your emotions. That's the first thing. Second, they change what we delete. Remember, we're always deleting all the green, everything. But I can change, by asking you questions, I'll make you focus on what you've been deleting. And three, we change the resources available to you by asking quality questions. Now, let me show you how that works. Really simple. Okay, first of all, if questions can find out what's going on in their head. There's no need for mind reading. Somebody today said, I read a book on mind reading. No, there's no need for that. Just ask. Ask them. We'll talk about that. Questions can put people in positive states. Very valuable. Questions can find out what their real motivations are. Questions can find out their beliefs. Questions can overcome their objections. Identify their objections as well. And let's find out. That's how that works. So how do we read people's minds? We just ask them. There's no need to read people's mind. You just say, what are you thinking about? What do you think about what I'm saying? Ask. And they'll tell you what they think about what you're saying. Is that valuable to know? Oh, yes. Because you want to know if the person feels good about what you're saying or if they're feeling bad. As then I would ask it, how do you feel about what I'm saying? Because that's a reflection of your thinking. Do you feel good about what I'm saying or do you feel bad? You want to know that. Whenever you're communicating with people, you better be in touch with their feelings. If you don't know how they feel, you're on the wrong track. If they're feeling negative, the conversation is on the wrong track. If they're feeling good, then you're on the right track. Okay? Here's questions to put people in state. Questions like, hey, can I ask you a question? And they say, yeah, sure, go ahead. Let me ask you, what are you most happy about today? And they say, well, I don't know. I say, if you did know, what would you say? And they say, well, it's a pretty nice day outside. Good. And get them focused on feeling good. Every time I coach someone, the first question I ask is, what are you most happy about right now? If they don't answer that question, I don't move on. They got to answer that. Okay? What is good in your life right now is another question. Any great question that makes them feel good, basically. What are you excited about, or what are you most excited about in your life right now? Another great question. By asking them these questions, you change what they focus on and making them feel good. You know, every one of my friends who knows me is around me. They know me. They come by me and I say, hey, how you doing? What are you most happy about today? That's like automatic for me. And then I remember one time our friends were sharing what we like about each other the most. And every one of my friends said, what I like most about you is you always ask me what I'm most happy about. I thought, that's nice. It's nice to know that. It's nice to know that people appreciate me because I make them focus on what makes them happy. Do it too. Use questions to make your friends happy. They're a powerful tool. Okay, because the science of achievement or selling people or marketing is you put people in peak state, make them feel good, and then talk about your product, your service, or a win-win proposal. Why? Because whenever people are in peak state, that's how commercials do it, right? You see on television, Michael Jackson, woo, 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 woo. Then Pepsi, right? Woo, 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 woo. Then Pepsi. Peak state, Pepsi. Peak state, Pepsi, and they get linked. And you wonder, why do I drink so much Pepsi? Well, because the marketing geniuses made you link pleasure to it. That's why. Okay, that's what the science of achievement is about. It's all about putting them in peak state and then influencing them. Okay? Then you link them both together, the win-win and peak state. So, how about motivation? Well, why do we do what we do? Why does anyone do? Because values. What does that mean? Here's a question to ask them to find out what motivates someone. What is most important to you in, let's say, life? What's most important to you in life? Think about it. What's most important to you in your life? Family, success, financial freedom, career. What's most important to you in your life? Think about happiness, joy, contribution. What is it? Think about it. Well, let's say that you answered the following. Adventure. Most important to me. Or let's say family. Or you say, let's say, security. Well, if I want to motivate you, I have to relate how us doing something together will give you adventure. Or will make your family better. Or will give you more security. And if I can relate your values to my win-win proposal, that will really motivate you. Does that make sense? That's right. So, because you see, in our brain, we all move towards pleasure and away from, like, security, adventure, family, and security. But we also move away from what? From pain. Maybe if I ask you, which emotions will you do almost anything to avoid in your life? And what's the answer to that? You might say what? Depression? Right? What else? What emotion will you do the most to avoid in your life? Think about that for a minute. What are some emotions you want to avoid at all costs? Important question. You might say abandonment. You might say poverty, whatever it is. So you're moving away from pain and towards pleasure. So when we want to motivate someone, we have to motivate based on what's most important to them. The conversation has to be relevant to their values. If the conversation is not relevant to their values, then we're not motivating them. And then there's the beliefs about how you get adventure, how you get happiness in your family, how you get security. Well, how do we do that? We ask them questions like, what has to happen in order for you to feel adventure? And what do? They give us their rules. Well, if I go boating, then I feel adventure. If I play with my ski-doo or travel, then I feel adventure. Then we know what their rules is. What about family? What has to happen for you to feel love? Because, by the way, a family is a means value. What does family give you would be the feeling, right? It might give you love. It might give you happiness. But family is a means value. Love is the end value, the feeling. So we asked them, well, what has to happen for you to feel love? And they say, well, spend time with my son or spend time at home with my wife. That's the rules. And let's say security. Well, what has to happen for you to feel security? Everybody has different answers, of course, but you might say, well, I have to have $25,000 in my bank account. Then I feel secured. I have to make X amount of money per month. I have to, and they have all these rules about how to mate our feelings. So every one of us has that. That's what guides us, unconsciously, of course. Now, this is important. Why? Because, you see, there's a gap between where the person is, like, let's say, adventure. How much adventure do they feel now? Is it low satisfaction or high satisfaction? But usually, this is the secret. The reason they're making a value most important is because they're not getting it. That's why it's important to them, because they're not getting that. If someone says success is most important to me, they're probably not getting much success in their life. I know that. Immediately when they say that, that gives me information. So I know how to motivate them. It's all about success. If someone says adventure is most important to me, then I know what they're not getting in their life. They're not getting enough adventure. Or maybe they are, but usually they don't. That's why they're making something important, because they're not getting it. And what that does is there's a gap between where they are and where they want to go. And that gap, they feel hurt. And they want your product. They want your service. They want a win-win agreement to fill that gap. That's how you motivate people to agree with you. That's how you motivate people to do what you want them to do. Show them how to heal their wounds, how to heal their hurt. That's how you motivate people. Say I if that makes sense to you.